What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Friday edition of Burn It Down with Kim Brown. This is the safe space where we set oppression ablaze because we understand that a new tomorrow is not only possible, it is damn right outright necessary. And we are the architects. We are both the arsonists and the architects. We can burn down the old and build new as long as we unite and stand together. I am so excited to have all of you joining us today on this very, very special Friday of Burn It Down with Kim Brown. Do me a favor, gang. I see we're already squadding up deep in the chat. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up, that like on the video. If you are not already subscribed to the channel, please take a moment to do so. So we have a great show in store for you today. So coming up a little bit, we are going to be discussing the guilty plea of WNBA star Brittney Griner. I'm sure you guys have already heard this. Brittney pled guilty in a Russian court, and it is still unclear whether or not Brittney will be coming home. We're going to get into that. Also, shout out to Rich El Dios. Rich tagged me on a story, a very tragic story coming out of Fayetteville, out of the Ville. Courtney, this is around your way. Jada Johnson, a very young Black mother, was shot and killed by Fayetteville police while she was having a mental health crisis. And this is a urgent call that we have been putting out on this channel for a very long time to please stop calling the police on Black people who are experiencing mental health crisis. But her case and her name needs to be raised. And we're going to talk about that story a little bit later in the show. But to start things off, gang, my guest tonight really needs no introduction, to be perfectly honest. We have a lot of remixers joining us today, a lot of supporters of Black Power Media, quite obviously. And if you have been a subscriber and a follower of BPM, surely you have tuned in to numerous episodes of Riot Starter TV. And I want us to take a look at the latest episode of Riot Starter TV, which aired this week. Let's take a look.
Again, saying that you came into the dean is one thing, saying that you're against oppression is another, and saying that you coming out of Mississippi. Man, I mean, let's talk about that. Gulfport, Mississippi. How you go from Gulfport to who you are today. And what was it like growing up in Gulfport for a young man?
You know what, man, that's a great question. And the simple answer, but I'm going to try to elaborate on it as well, is how did I come out of Gulfport, man, where I am now, of being a Muslim, being vocal? It's only by the grace and mercy of Allah. Also, Allah tells us in the Quran, man, and I'm big on this. He says he wants to favor those who are being oppressed and to make them leaders. So coming through those types of situations, if we get the right type of tutelage and we embrace it and we absorb it, they can't help but create that type of individual.
That's former NBA star Mahmoud Abdul Rauf sitting down with an in-depth conversation with the host of Riot Starter TV, also the founder of the FTP movement and one of the co-founders of Black Power Media. Fire fam, let me see them heart emojis. Let me see them flame emojis. Give it up for Kalonji Changa. Changa. Peace,
What's
bro.
happening? Peace. Look what the cat drug in. How you feeling?
I even try to hit you with a little bit of the ear doctor reverb right there, Kalonji, just to make you feel at home.
I caught a headache when you did that. Thought about the ear doctor.
Anyway, guys, this is my BPM comrade, one of my dear co-hosts of the Remix Morning Show over on Black Power Media. Kalonji, I'm so honored to have you over here on Burn It Down with Kim Brown. Thank you so much for making some time to join me and to get into the things.
Man, listen, I'm honored to be here. I'm somewhat nervous because I'm in I'm in burn it down land. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just trying to adjust and adapt. But I think I'm about ready to rock, though. So I really appreciate you inviting me on to rock with you tonight. for sure.
Sir, you are the riot starter. Burn It Down should be a home away from home for you, Kalonji. So
No
I'm
doubt.
grateful and honored and humbled by your presence. And there's a lot that I want to talk to you about because truly, like I find your career, your history, your work over the decades just to be really fascinating, to be perfectly honest, because you've experienced being kidnapped and held hostage by the state. You've worked in the music industry and you've been an organizer for the past 30 years. So the place I really wanted to start tonight, how and why and when do you recall becoming radicalized towards Black liberation?
Well, I think that I often say it was natural. I come from a long line of quote unquote freedom fighters. My great grandmother's father was a man by the name of Sam Pace. He was a Seminole out of Florida. And basically, story has it that some U.S. Marshals came onto the land to kidnap his brother Aaron. And he allegedly returned fire and took 7 of them out and ended up moving to South Carolina, where my mother's side of the family was raised. So I think that it was natural, it's in my blood, it's in my veins. There was times when I was on the wrong side of the barricades. I got caught up in distributing plantation poison. I got caught up in doing what the folks on the streets was doing back in the 80s. And it pretty much landed me in prison in South Carolina. I was raised in Bridgeport, Connecticut, but I ended up living out in South Carolina for a stint. And, I ended up catching some charges. And from there, it was at that moment, all the things that my mother and father and uncles and aunts had to say about the state and about white supremacy, I experienced it firsthand. And, that was kind of my, for lack of better words, Malcolm George Jackson moment where, things kicked into overdrive. I was always fighting on behalf of us. My first opportunity to organize as an individual was at age 14. Again, I'm from Bridgeport, Connecticut, so I would go to New York, catch the train to Harlem and to Brooklyn and so on and so forth, and go to rallies, go to protests and all that. But I had one foot in and one foot out because it wasn't fashionable. So growing up where I grew up at, in the projects, it was rare for the quote unquote Black Robin Hoods to exist, So, once I got bagged, that was pretty much, that set it down. That was, it's Molotov season, I didn't look back from there, So that's
So
what kind of.
after you spent, your time behind the wall, what was the next step for you? Because I mean, not to get all into your age, but I'm just curious, between the time that you got out and the time that you began organizing, did your time early organizing overlap with when you first made your foray into the music industry? And how did that even happen?
It did. I started off while I was in South Carolina. After I got out, maybe around 1990, I got a record deal. And the record deal was straight trash.
Hold on. Record deal, what was you singing?
Nah,
I'm just fucking with you.
I wasn't a singer, I was a swinger. But nah, back then everybody thought they could rhyme, I think I was pretty decent, so caught a record deal, ended up getting ripped off real hard,
No.
Yeah, I mean, the thing was, like most Black folks, I was just excited that someone was down to put some money into what I was doing. And, I ended up, signing a bogus record deal. From there, I ended up moving back home to Connecticut. And around 91, a partner and myself, we started an independent label up in Bridgeport called Rage City Records. We thought we were going to be the next Motown or something, but of course that didn't happen. We thought it was going to be like Rick Rubin and Russell Simmons or somebody, 2 Black versions, but that didn't happen. So I ended up doing promotions and marketing, and while doing promotions, promoting shows and events. I got into booking different artists, different hip hop artists. Then from there, I got into booking and managing hip hop artists and comedians, and I was doing all types of different show promotions and whatnot. And did a little bit of road managing, and I ended up managing a group by the name of Robin Still that was signed to Profile Records, and they were produced by Fredro from Onyx, and that was like kind of my end. And from there, it was I did maybe about I would say a 9, close to 10-year bid in the music industry, and I call it a bid because it was just crazy. It's crazy. But I met a whole lot of people who are somewhat superstars right now, but back then it was a little rough. It was a little rough because I was trying to play both sides of the fence, trying to organize, and at the same time I was trying to get my money dealing with these artists. And it was a journey, it was an experience. You got to be a special kind of person to really get into the industry and love it. I'm not that
well,
special.
and survive, right? Because because to be perfectly honest, I see how you could be successful in the industry, but at the same time, sir, you are a person of principles, right? And there's a lot of fuckery in the music industry. Like you just said, the experience that you had signing a bad record deal, artists getting ripped off by promoters, by labels, right. Not to mention especially in the time frame that you're discussing in the 90s, rampant misogyny, not only in the music, but in the industry itself. How are you able to navigate basically shark infested waters and come out with your principles intact? Because I have to tell you, I came in the industry after you, and I found it really hard, to be honest. I found it contrary to kind of what my personal compass is, so to speak. So how were you able to navigate those waters and still come out as Kalonji, the Riot starter on behalf of Black freedom?
Man, that's a real good question because I think that it was it was a tug of war. It was a tug of war because I knew what the state was designed to do. I knew what that like what the Last Poets and then later what Biggie was talking about. All we want to do is party and bullshit. And dealing with being in the industry as a quote unquote manager and just doing shows and having to literally babysit, grown men. It's like we're doing shows at 3 o'clock in the morning and, we're in clubs and whatnot. I got to go find the artist. Somebody left. The promoter is not paying us. And, literally, we're at times, it was no different from the streets. You know what I'm saying? Because I was rolling with certain artists who literally were stick up kids on their days off. You know what I'm saying? They was doing what they had to do to eat. So I had to try to figure that balance out. But at the same time, again, coming up the way I came up, there was always like the devil and the angel on your shoulders. You know what I'm saying? And you had to, I had to make decisions. And in order for me to survive, I felt like, I was facing 36 years when I was facing sentencing back in 88, and it just felt too familiar, and I just felt like that just like when I was dealing with the quote unquote street world, I just felt like I wasn't doing my people a service, So, how did I survive? How did I escape? How did I skate out of it? I don't know. I think the more I read, the more I studied, the more I got around people who were serious about us. It kind of, it was that lifeline, and it was a saving grace. And I don't regret it. I've seen so many people, like I said, that I came up with who became mega. But, I appreciate and I'm glad that, I did it the way I did it,
Let me ask you a question. Out of the artists that you've worked with, especially, during your time in the industry, for people, you know, who's watching right now, and if you don't, I mean, if you don't want to say, that's fine also, but I'm curious, like, who is somebody that the rest of us may not be hip or aware to the extent of their political education, meaning that this person is deeply versed in the history and understands, you know, the movement of political organizing. Who is that person that you've crossed paths with in the industry, or artists that you cross paths with, whose political education level is probably not what the rest of us maybe would expect?
Yeah, I would say folks like Smith and Wesson, folks like Das Effects, because when you think about Das Effects, everybody remember the bump skilly bump bump, but they were actually members of Black Watch. They were down with X-Clan and all of those folks. You know what I mean? So those were folks who had degrees of politics. You know, and many others. You'll be surprised at a lot of these artists that are walking around today that are kind of just afraid to speak. And then there were other artists who were politicized by comrades, folks like Nas. You know what I'm saying? When you have the I forget the name of the album, but it was an album when dealing with revolutionary warfare. Nas had actually got the handbook of revolutionary warfare by Kwame Nkrumah from one of our comrades, and he actually focused and centered his album around it. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of different artists that I would say that had degrees of politics, but at the same time, you know, there's always confusion, because whatever you do half-ass, you know, it kind of, you know, it kind of shows. You know what I'm saying? My grandmother used to say, if you know, if I don't get you in the wash, I'll get you in the rinse. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's, yeah, I mean, there's, you know, several folks that I would say that really, you know, that are more on point than they appear to be.
So your organizing career has spanned 30 years, and part of your focus, your concentration pertains to getting political prisoners released. Who was the first political prisoner campaign that you remember working on?
The first political prisoner campaign would probably be Mumia, because he was the first person that was ever identified to me as a political prisoner. You know, but I would also say, you know, I could remember as a youth, you know, seeing posters of Joanne Chesimard, now known as Assata Shakur. I would see posters on the telephone poles and in the post office and stuff, like things of that nature. And I was always drawn to, you know, to her story and to her legacy. But I think that the first official political prisoner that I campaigned for would definitely be Mumia Abu-Jamal, who, of course, as you know, I've had the opportunity to interview on the you know, on Riot Starter. You know, so yeah, I would say that he would be the exact first. But I also want to point out that while I was in the music industry, part of me making that escape is I started teaching. You know, so I taught 7th and 8th grade history and math, and then I taught at an alternative high school, and I started a program called Hip Hop University. But during that time, I actually began organizing as a what do you call it? Union organizer. Sorry, my brain is all over the place right now.
Hey, what? You was in the union too, Kalonji?
SEIU. Yes, I was. That was my adult. You know, that's my first more or less full-time adult organizing situation. So I've always been organizing in some capacity. You know what I mean? And so many things have overlapped. And depending on who you talk to, you know, you'll get a different version based on, you know, the experience of, you know, where we met or whatever. So, you know, I was always against oppression. Always looked at, you know, I came up in my early years, I came up in the church. My grandmother used to have me go to church with her all the time. So I was an altar boy. I sat in front with the preacher in an AME Zion church.
Oh, AME. Okay.
African Methodist Episcopal Church. Yeah. Matter of fact, my first time I ever spoke publicly was at a revival in front of 500 people at age 7. You know, so You know, I was reading the Bible at age 3, and my take on it was always revolutionary to me. You know what I'm saying? I always looked at, and I'm not into church right now, obviously, but I always looked at the stories as revolutionary stories. You know what I'm saying? So I looked at the story of Jesus as a political prisoner, someone who was terrorized by the state, a victim of police terrorism. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, he rolled with a crew. He rolled with, you know, quote unquote prostitutes and thieves and, you know, killers and all that type stuff. And, you know, so I always looked at, you know, everything I've ever done, even when I was on the wrong side of the tracks, I tried to be, like I said, a Black Robin Hood. I tried to give back. There's things that were done that I can't talk about right now. But, you know, in looking back, I was like, okay, I don't even know what made me go that route. But it was, you know, it's innate. It is, you know, it's an internal thing. You know, and that's just part of it.
You got to put it in the memoirs. Put it in the memoirs. Put it in the memoirs. Well, let me circle back to your work with political prisoners, because, you know, that has got to be really work that can take a toll on your emotions, because I know that you worked very closely trying to free Troy Davis and work closely with his family. And Troy was tragically murdered unjustifiably by the state. And I know some of the political prisoners have come home. Daruba Ben Wahad is home, and there's a number of others that have been released recently, but they all don't come home, Kalonji. So what does that do to you, and how do you deal with that? Those huge wins, but also those very, very, very big losses.
I think that, you know, I take it personal. You know what I'm saying? And I think that that's one of the criticisms I have of us is we don't take, this war personal. I think we look at it in an almost cliche type manner, and we look at it like, it's, free such and such, and then we are back to whatever it is we were doing, back to our regular scheduled program. So I take it very personal, because I know that, there are political prisoners that have been on ice before you and I was even born. You know what I'm saying? Before our parents met. These are brothers and sisters who have been, railroaded in many cases, and, have been serving, serious time. So, yeah, it's a very personal thing. You mentioned Troy Davis. The year that he was assassinated by the state, I went to 3 members of his family's funerals that I knew. His mother transitioned in the spring. I was at her funeral. Then, of course, he was executed September 21st. And then I was a pallbearer at in his sister's funeral. We were really close. So, and I would talk to Troy all the time, and I got, letters, and, I wanted to visit him, and they flat out told his sister, they said, the only way this guy can get in, he can be a guest to witness witness the execution. You know what I mean? So that was the only way they was letting me in it. So yeah, it's taken personal a lot. You know what I'm saying? I put my heart and my soul and my energy into it, and it's cost me everything to an extent. You know what I'm saying? Because, my attitude is a reflection of this war. And I think that, a lot of times you are, as Nina Simone would say, misunderstood. You're misunderstood because of the passion and the reality that you face, and the fact that you're not looking to your enemy for any type of support, or any type of we're not looking at them to have any type of empathy towards us, because we're clear about who they are. So again, it's like, it's a burning feeling inside, and sometimes that fire comes out, and the dragon is also, oftentimes looked at as the villain, when in fact the dragon is just trying to get these other dragons out. Like, look, we just trying to live. You know what I'm saying? We just trying to fight for us. You know what I mean? So the thing is, you know, with that, sometimes you can't always be, you know, who everybody wants you to be. You can't be who folks need you to be. You know what I'm saying? And when you stand firm and you declare yourself a freedom fighter, you understand that you're up against the state, and the state is interested in taking your life. They're interested in murdering your offspring. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's why they say kill them before they grow. You know what I mean? I am the offspring of Sam Pace. You know what I'm saying? Sam Pace the Seminole, Sam Pace the fighter, Sam Pace the warrior. You know what I'm saying? So I am who they didn't want to see. And in honor of my direct ancestor, I feel it's my duty to carry on that legacy as hard and as rough as I possibly could. But sometimes, again, you know, you got to be good with the bad guy role. You know what I'm saying? And most of the time, you know, that's a reflection of who I am. You know, and it's not that you want to be the bad guy. It's just like shit. You know, we said we was at war. You know what I'm saying? I want to sing and dance with y'all, but shit ain't funny right now, and I'm not entertained. You know what I mean? So, you know, forgive me. So, you know, that's just kind of you know, so to answer your question, like going all the way around the world and coming back, you know what I'm saying? It's you know, it's that love and you know, yeah, it's personal. I don't know how I continue to live, breathe, and exist because I'm a part of an organization of folks that I know understand me, and that you know, that forgive me for my flaws. You know what I'm saying? Because they know that, you know, the good outweighs the bad, even though sometimes the bad is highlighted.
You know, I can really tell that this work is very personal to you because when you speak about it, you speak about it with force, but yet you speak about it with compassion at the same time. And I think that's part of why, you know, I am very drawn to your authenticity. Like, I can count on Kalonji to not sugarcoat the shit. You understand? Like, a lot of people's out here worried about playing politics. Kalonji's going to say the thing, okay? And I'm the kind of person that respects that. I like a straight shooter. I don't like niggas to pussyfoot. Don't beat around the bush. Don't beat the bush. Leave the bush out of it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So I respect that about you. And you talk about the organizations that you are a part of, but let's talk about the one that you founded, the FTP movement. Now, FTP, that's feed the people, free the people, fuck the police. It's all the above. And tell us about 2022 being the 18th year anniversary of the FTP movement.
No doubt. You know, it's wild because what my effort, right, with FTP, initially, it was I wanted to create. I looked at a lot of these different movements. I looked at Public Enemy, I looked at X-Clan, and I looked at you know, groups like Dead Prez, and I saw that they had the attention of the masses. They had the attention of our people. You know, so my one criticism is that they all weren't organizers. Of course, X-Clan was a part of Black Watch. They were under the tutelage of Sonny Carson. Forgive me, I know he has an African name. I can't, you know, get it out right now, so I don't want to mess it up. But he's the brother who they, you know, the book and the film, The Education of Sonny Carson, you know, in his name, he was the father of Professor X, the overseer. And, you know, he helped to spearhead the whole Black Watch organization. In saying all of that, I wanted to create a hip hop group to mobilize the people, and then, you know, flip it where we can organize them and make freedom fighters out of it. You know, that was the goal. So myself and a sister by the name of Zakia Muhammad, shout out to Zakia, we started a group called FTP, or Fuck the Police, going back around 2001, 2002, something like that. But you know, it didn't work out too well. We wasn't as dope as we thought we were. So, you know, it was 2004 when, you know, I came to Atlanta, and I was a part of another organization, and, you know, things didn't work out the way we wanted them to. So I ended up starting an organization, FTP movement, and you know, we've been rolling ever since. And like you pointed out, FTP stands for everything from fruition through persistence to formulate the plan, feed the people, you know, fuck the police, president, the Pope, you know what I'm saying, and whatever else, you know, needs to, you know, to fit in there, you know. So, yeah, 18 years later, we're still here. I'm grateful because we have a very talented team of individuals, men, women, and children that put in a lot of soldier work. And we've done this work all over the planet, literally. And I'm grateful because we're not just, we're not a internet freedom fighter group. We're not clicked up. We're not just, you know, talking that talk. You know, our motto is we love you, but we'll fuck you up if you know what I'm saying?
Right. That's the shit I'm talking about. Yes, I love that. Yeah. Well, what I wanted to also ask Kalonji, you know, you and I have been working together on the Remix Morning Show on Black Power Media for a little over a year now. And really this entire year, one of the main points and things that BPM and you specifically have been trying to drive home to the audience is the importance of getting an organization and preparedness. And I gotta say, you know, over this past year, I have been feeling and hearing the urgency of that become more and more obvious with every single horrific event that has transpired in this country over the past year. And let's be clear, America was no peach. It wasn't all good up until 2021 or 2020, and then the shit hit the fan. No, this shit has been fucked for a long time, but it's gotten worse, right? And I get it now. Like, I understand what you guys are talking about, because with the increasing of, you know, white supremacy militias, and then the white supremacist militias that are actually trained police officers out here, in addition to food shortages, baby formula shortages, it is increasingly obvious that this capitalist iteration of America is doomed to fall, destined to fall. But when it falls, it's going to fall on a lot of our heads if we're not ready for it. Why is getting the message about preparedness, from, you know, growing your own food, to understanding self-defense, to being in community and in networks with people who are trained? Reiterate to us again why this is so important and how you see this becoming increasingly more important.
Right. I think that, you know, we're talking about, again, when we talk about war, you know, we talk about survival and preparedness. I mean, you know, if you know you're not prepared and you're not, you don't have the ability to survive, you become a victim. And you know, what good is it to fight on behalf of your people, quote unquote, if you are going to end up a victim? You know what I'm saying? My belief is, you know, here we are, we're on this planet for a limited time. And we have so many people that's looking to, you know, to get theirs when we die, quote unquote. You know what I'm saying? To leave it in the Lord's hand, as they say. You know what I'm saying? I think the Lord gave your black ass two hands, so, you know, utilize yours. Stop just, you know, reaching out to the ancestors all the time to try to do what you're supposed to do, right? So for us, the whole survival preparedness side of things, it's a natural piece, a natural component, because you have, you know, so many organizations that you know, we're tough on talking about, you know, dying for revolution and all that type shit, you know, but you know, what's up with living for it? What's up with us, you know, building and growing? We're going to make errors. We're going to make mistakes. You know what I'm saying? And there's always going to be folks trying to stop you. There's going to be folks that look like you that'll try to put salt in the game and do whatever they could possibly do to destroy you, because of the fact that they can't control you. So for us, the whole urban survival preparedness type of situation, it goes beyond just being in the woods eating tree bark. We're talking about what's going on in our day-to-day lives. How do we survive predators? How do we survive primary predators and secondary predators? Primary predators being the state, secondary predators being crackers or niggas on the street that are out to just, you know, take you out. I mean, the one thing that I learned is there's more confusion and bullshit in quote unquote movement and struggle than it is, just on the streets, because at least you know what they expect in the streets. But when you talk about movement and struggle, you get a cat that don't like you for whatever reason, and their job is to take you out by any means. You know what I'm saying? You get a lot of motherfuckers with Twitter fingers. They do type buys all day, but they don't approach you face to face though. You know what I'm saying? They hard press on that. So our survival is everything from physical to mental, you know what I mean, to spiritual, because, it's all a part of who we are. So, and shout out to my brother, Balogun, you know what I'm saying, who is, we are part of the same organization, but he's also, we co-chair the Urban Survival Preparedness Institute, but also, he's over the African Martial Arts Institute, and he's also a priest, him, his wife, and, an Ifa priest. So we're surrounded, part of, our survival and our preparedness is being insulated by your airlocks. You know what I'm saying? Because it's always going to be part of my English, some fuck niggas. You know what I'm saying? And when I say fuck niggas, that's women too. I don't discriminate. You know what I'm saying? That's out to every chance they get to disrupt the movement. And you find out by default, a lot of these people end up working for the state without a check. You understand what I'm saying? Their duty, because they can't do what the hell you do, or they don't feel that you're doing what they think you should do, they'll try their best to try to assassinate you, whether it's character or physically. You know what I'm saying? So whose job is that? That's the job of the state. So if you want to play that role, then, knock yourself out. But yeah, so urban survival preparedness that's the capacity.
Big up to Balagoon Ojate and Bile host a warrior class on Black Power Media. I mean, really, I feel as though, I feel like I need to be paying for these warrior classes because the information is so valuable, and Balagoon really runs the spectrum of preparedness from all kinds of enemies, you know what I mean? All kinds of threats from different, he really does an amazing job. And I know all of us watching now are grateful that Balagoon is part of the platform over on BPM, because he's a repository of wealth. My man's, he's like Clark Kent, but he will Superman and fuck your ass up. I believe y'all when y'all say that.
I think he'll beat Superman ass. But speaking of that, tomorrow is actually their 1 year, anniversary of Warrior Class. And we're doing a Riot Starter takeover, so make sure y'all tap into that tomorrow at 1 p.m. You know what I'm saying? 1 p.m. Yes. I know we kind of formal today, Kim. Forgive me, you know what I'm saying, if I'm sounding like, if I'm not as fun.
If you're scared, say you're scared, Kalonji. It's cool. If you're scared, say you're scared.
Never scared. Never scared. Hey, what your man Chuck D said, I'm bad by my damn self. Shout out to all the people in the chat. I can't see y'all. Those who have love and those who don't, you know what I'm saying, as well. You know what I'm saying?
Everybody got love. Did my computer die? My other computer might have died. But everyone is in here, Kalonji. Everybody knows what time it is. And I really think some people might have tuned in because they thought that me and you was going to fight. I was going to come on here and jump on you and be like, Kalonji, why you hate bitches? First of all, because I know, number one, that's not true. No, so what y'all don't know is that Kalonji and I have had personal conversations. We have had conversations away from Zoom, okay? Even though he's out in Atlanta, I'm up here in Maryland. We have talked to each other, and I'm gonna say this, Kalonji, tell me if I'm overstating this. To me, like brother and sister, like we have had very frank conversations with each other and aired out the shit that we did not like the other was doing. But look at the resolution here. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, I know that Kalonji is on the same side as me. We may disagree on some finer points, but I believe that if I'm out here in these streets and a man put his hands on me or these crackers run up on me, I can call Kalonji, and Kalonji's going to refer me to some people that might be able to assist me with my self-defense. Let's just put it that way. And I believe that 100% about you, which is why I fuck with you. Seriously, I don't do that phony shit. That's why I didn't work well in the industry, Kalonji, because I ain't a phony bitch. Like, if I fuck with you, I fuck with you. And if I don't, I don't. don't, and I don't pretend that I do. So I fuck with you seriously. So I appreciate you as who you are and the kind of man that you are. So I just again want to reiterate that.
Yeah, and the feeling is mutual, and I'm glad that we bumped heads, because you know, my thing is like you said, you know, I know enough folks out here that you know, they come with the phony ass smiles and the handshakes and all that shit. And the one thing that, in order for you to be a good organizer, you have to be a psychologist, and you have to understand how to read people spiritually, right? So I get a whole lot of phony motherfuckers that want to come up trying to handshake and all that. I could read your shit from 2 goddamn planets away, like your man said. You know what I mean? So most of the time, you know, I practice honorable avoidance. So if I don't fuck with you, I just give you your space. You know what I'm saying? So that way we don't have to get ill. But as I mentioned in off the air, most people that I bump heads with, quote unquote, in the beginning, you know, we end up good. And usually I just kind of smile. I'm just like, yeah, we on the same shit. We ain't figured out yet. So we'll deal with that when it's time to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? But you know, I bump heads with damn everybody on the platform, because you know that's my role. You know what I'm saying? Because they know they can't fuck with me. How about that?
They can't beat you. They can't whip you. They can't whip you, Kalonji. I said it.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate that.
They can't whip you. They can't whip you. I'm over here like the ear doctor playing devil's advocate. Listen, Kalonji, I know we're running short on time, and I want to turn you loose because I'm grateful for the time that you have been here and been spending with us. But I wanted to circle back to your work trying to free Imam Jamil Al-Amin, the Black Panther soldier who is formerly known as H. Rat Brown, who is unjustly incarcerated in Arizona. And I know you're part of the campaign to free Jamil Al-Amin. So could you please talk with us, number one, about... I hate to even ask how he's doing, because I can imagine how he's doing. But I mean, could you give us an update on his status? Because I know he had surgery to restore his vision, if I'm not mistaken. He had cataracts removed, but you know, the state let them cataracts linger for entirely too long. But I was glad to see that at least they were attending to his medical needs on that front. So can you give us an update about how Imam Jamil Al-Amin is doing today, and what are the efforts underway to try to free him?
Right. Yes, great question. It's funny, I just talked to one of his close comrades earlier today, who speaks to him a couple times a week. And to my understanding, he's doing a lot better. He did, his vision was restored. You know, he has, I'm forgetting what type cancer, because of the fact is so many of our comrades that have different types of cancer at this point. But I understand he's doing well. In fact, one of the goals is to actually get in and interview him. So, you know, it's a very strong possibility that we'll be able to get some, you know, some direct words from him, you know, so keep your fingers crossed and all that type of stuff. But we're fighting for his campaign. And one of the things we're looking to do at this particular point, he cleaned up the west end of Atlanta, which used to be, you know, wild, all types of different rapes and murders and drug dealing and stick-ups and all types of things of that nature. And, you know, he cleaned it up. There's a park across the street from the masjid. And one of the efforts that we're making right now is to rename that park Imam Jamil Al-Amin Park. So, you know, we will be keeping folks abreast and on point and on notice about what the people themselves can do. I would like to go on record as saying that when, you know, a lot of folks that walk around talking about if Malcolm was alive, they'd be with Malcolm. To me, the closest thing to Malcolm X or El Hajj Malik Shabazz living would be Imam Jamil Al-Amin, formerly H. Rat Brown. If you're not familiar with this man right here, you're talking about life transformations. This is someone you need to get to know. I had the opportunity to first work with his brother, who is an ancestor now, his brother Ed, who actually educated him when Imam Jamil became chairman of SNCC, because folks mentioned the Black Panther Party, but he's also chairman of SNCC, which he did more work with SNCC actually. and then, he's the honorary minister of justice for the Black Panther Party. But, his work in cleaning up the west end of Atlanta alone is legendary. Just real quick, there was a motorcycle gang in the West End, as I've been told, that was terrorizing the community. They would cut pigs open and let the blood flow out in the streets. The community was stinking and all types of other madness going on. And Imam Jamil pretty much stepped to them and told them that they had to cease and desist. And to a great extent, they laughed. So, long story short, where the motorcycle club used to be is where we have Juma services on Friday now.
Funny how that works. That works. That's what's. Shout out to Imam Jamil Al-Amin. That's a bad man right there.
Without a doubt. That's you talk about H. Rap Brown. That's we got stories for days, but that's a brother right there. When you talk about folks like the Ruba, this is one of the OGs, and Sekou Ding and folks like this. This is someone that is revered and loved, not only in the United States by Africans, but abroad by Muslims across the world. He was a serious brother, and he put in work, and they had to snatch him off the street because they knew that he had muscle in his voice, and they knew that he was able to command authority, and he wasn't just some angry militant. Much like many of us, he had relationships with folks who were in the civil rights movements, the folks like Coretta Scott and Andy Young and some of these other folks. They would confer to him. They would when their families were moving into the West End, they would go sit down with him and let him know, look, my daughter's going to be coming over here, or my son's going to be over here. Folks like Ice Cube and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and others, they would come check in when they come to the West End. When they came to Atlanta, they made sure that they stopped in the West End by Imam Jamil's store, to rap with him, because it was, serious respect for this brother.
One thing you mentioned about him on an episode of The Remix is that you said that if you write him, he'll write you back. How can we get more information about how to support the campaign to free him, and where can we write the Imam?
I'm going to give you two websites. I want to look on my phone because I got too much in my brain, but one will be freeimamjamil.com. That's freeimamjamil.com. or the Imam Jamil Action Network.org. That's the Imam Jamil Action Network.org. If you go to either one of those sites, you can have his address, you get different updates. And, I implore you all to write folks like Imam Jamil and Kamal Siddiqui and others, because for one thing is we talk about, about Brittney. And of course, she deserves to be released. These are people, many of these brothers and sisters have been locked up before Brittney was even born. But unfortunately, we go with what's hot right now, what's in the news. Our position and our role, our slogan is free them all. Free all political prisoners. You know what I'm saying? Not just the ones you like, not just the ones that are cis hetero, or the ones that are part of the LGBT community, the ones that are Black, the ones that are white. We have comrades from all walks of life that put in work, but at the same time, we must hold them accountable as well. There's no art for art's sake. You know what I'm saying? There's no, I'm just a singer, I'm just a basketball player, I'm just a rapper. There was a climate back in the 60s that forced people like James Brown to talk about I'm Black and I'm proud. You know what I'm saying? Folks like Richard Pryor was donating to the Black Panther Party. Folks like Nipsey Russell was dropping off bags of money to the Black Panther chapters. Marlon Brando, you know what I'm saying? These are folks who was supporting the Black Panther Party, as well as King and others. So, our political prisoners, any country, because I hear folks all the time talking about reparations, but rarely do I hear them talk about political prisoners. You know what I'm saying? Any country, before any type of negotiation is done, any agreements or arrangements is made, look, we need our soldiers back. Fuck all that, let's have tea. You know what I'm saying? The beef is over, all that. Nope. Give me my family members back first. And then after that, we could talk about whatever you want to talk about. There's no way I can come kidnap Kim's mother and then say, nah, it's cool. You know what I'm saying? We don't, let's smoke a spliff. We're going to let bygones be bygones. Hold up.
Can't give me a check from my mama. Can't give me a check from my mama, man. I need my mama back. I need my mama back.
Period. And until that happens, then all that other shit don't matter.
That's
you know
right.
what I'm saying? But I want to point out, because I mentioned Brittney, I just want to say that we are expecting a corrupt government, a corrupt society, a government ran by folks like Biden and Kamala, who themselves have put more good people behind bars than a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But we're expecting them to respond the way they should, but they don't care because of the fact that it's not, that life don't matter to them.
That's
you know what I'm saying? So we have to be clear about who and what we asking. We're talking as if, the U.S. is a much better place than the USSR. You know what I'm saying? Than Russia. I mean, let's keep it 100. We talk about all this shit about the U.S. and then we like, I can't believe they won't do such and such. They won't even let Mumia free.
Come on.
So we gotta come up with alternative measures and figure out how we're gonna hold the unaccountable accountable.
Kalonji, I want to say that I would like to extend another invitation for you to come on here again another time, because I have really enjoyed this. And y'all, I know y'all like, it's not been an hour, Kim. It's almost been an hour. Kalonji has given me 10 more minutes than agreed upon. So I appreciate him spending a little bit extra time to come and kick it with the Fire Fam. But I want to thank you, Kalonji. First of all, I want to thank you for being a co-founder of Black Power Media. Black Power Media has expanded my political conscience in ways that I have not expected, and in ways that have surprised me, and in ways that I continue to grow. I know I'm the kid that's a little behind in the class, but I appreciate the ways in which you guys present the information, the ways in which information is explained, and the guests that you bring on to amplify issues and stories that most media outlets are not talking about. So I really appreciate BPM as a platform, as an entity, as a record label, as a movement. Like, BPM is the shit. But I thank you specifically for joining me here today, and generally for just being the kind of man that you are, for being the kind of guy that you are, for being the kind of Black soldier that you are, to not forget about political prisoners, to raise your family and be that pillar for your children, and to stand up, just being a stand-up person in the community, because there's not enough Kalonjis out here, to be perfectly honest. And if we could get some more Kalonjis out here, I think we'd be doing all right. So I just want to thank you again for making some time to bless us today on the channel. Thank you, Kalonji.
Kim, thank you. Thank you. On behalf of BPM, thank you for coming on board and helping to make our vision brighter, because, again, we don't, my position is we don't have to be on the same page, but we got to be in the same book. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate all that you have brought to the table. And, I'm looking forward to working and growing with you. We all learn from each other. None of us is contrary to popular belief, none of us is sharper than the other, because we all fucked up and we all in the same boat. You know what I mean? So we can come with all our fancy words, and we can, make it look good. We can come with the rap game and all that type shit. But at the end of the day, we all fucked up together. And like I said, man, I am definitely, I'm honored to be on your show. I mean that. I'm not just saying the shit because I'm here. And anytime, and of course, we're going to definitely extend that invitation for you to come on Riot Start as well. So thank you for breaking the ice.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. We have been speaking with the host of Riot Started TV, one of the co-founders of Black Power Media, and the founder of the FTP movement, Kalonji Changa, joining us today from the ATL. Kalonji, thank you again, sir. Enjoy your weekend. Please be safe out here.
Peace. Thank you.
Peace,
be safe
peace,
as well.
peace.
Peace.
All right, Fire Fam. Oh my goodness, I'm very excited, so humbled, and so appreciative to Kalonji for joining us. Unfortunately, my other computer died. So if there was comments and such, even perhaps any super chats, I assure you I missed all of them. But even if there wasn't no super chats, I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. So tell you what, I have a couple things that I want to get into, and I'm gonna get this done today in probably let's say less than 15. I can't say less than 10, but I can get this done in less than 15 minutes. Really quick, gang. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Do me a favor. Please hit a thumbs up. Hit a like on the video. If you fuck with Kalonji Changa out here, let me see them flame emojis. Put them up. Put them up. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to Black Power Media as well. And be sure to set your notification bells for the latest episodes of Riot Starter TV. A couple of things, guys. A couple of housekeeping notes. So Monday is the July Around the Fire Fam Disability Support Chat that happens Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern. That link is going to be available on Patreon for all the patrons, but of course it's open to whomever wants to come. But I just don't like to put the link out there for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to kind of, you got to say the password, and me and Anna can zip you the link. And then that's not a problem. If you want to participate in the disability support chat, all are welcome. So just either hit up me or Anna Hart for that linkage. Monday, July 11th, 5 p.m. Also, we are still in the midst of the July abortion fund support. And our first abortion fund that we're supporting is the Kentucky Health Justice Network. Go to our community page and you'll see the post up there if you guys want to make donations to the Kentucky Health Justice Network. As we know, abortion is gone away in a lot of places, Kentucky being one of them, or it's really close to being gone away in Kentucky and a lot of other states. And we're going to do this monthly. Every month, we're going to select an abortion fund, a grassroots organization that is on the ground in an abortion restrictive state. And we're going to pledge $50 from us, but we're asking you guys to match us at least $5. A number of you have sent money. Thank you, Latif. Thank you, Ellen R. And I'm gonna have a list, but let me put all that shit together. I'm very impressed with you guys. Oops, that's okay. I'm very impressed and thankful that you guys are supporting that, because this is really important to us, because we keep us safe. The state is not going to keep women and pregnant people safe out here. And so let's move along. Oh, the other thing, I'm sorry, real quick. Northern Witch, guys, Dee's daughter-in-law is not well. She's ill, and I'm not going to disclose her latest health, but Northern Witch asked for the Fire Fam chat to please send love and healing vibes for her daughter-in-law. So if you guys can do that for Northern Witch, we're not religious, but we are praying healing vibes over your daughter-in-law, that any malady that she has within her body is healed and is gone away. We love you, Dee, and we love your family. So send Northern Witch some support there. So as you guys heard, Kalonji just mentioned about Brittney Griner, and I'm sure you guys saw the news this week. Shout out to Celeste. Celeste tagged me on the story about Brittney. She appeared in a Russian court this week where Brittney pled guilty. She pled guilty to possession of the vape pens. And I want us to take a look at a clip. This is going to be from the New York Times. And the Times had footage of Brittney going in and out of court and had the opportunity to speak with her lawyer and a representative. I don't think this person is the ambassador to Russia from the U.S., but I think this is a person speaking at the end who works at the U.S. Embassy in some capacity. And she was talking about the letter that Brittney sent to Biden, and then conversely, the letter that Biden sent back to Brittney Griner in Russia. So let's take a look at this clip from the New York Times.
We are hoping for the softest sentencing possible.
And did you have a chance to talk with Brittney about President Biden's letter at all?
She appreciated it. Like every citizen of every country would appreciate the letter, the personal letter from the president, of course. She's a responsible person, and she admitted that it was hers, but she said that it was unintentionally brought to Russia because she was in a hurry as she was packing, and it was just by accident it ended up in her luggage.
I was able to speak with Ms. Griner in the courtroom. She said that she is eating well, she is able to read books, and under the circumstances, she is doing well. I would like again to emphasize the commitment of the United States government at the very highest levels to bring home safely Ms. Griner and all U.S. citizens wrongfully detained.
So we'll see about that. Now, here's the deal. Brittney is facing up to 10 years, still facing up to 10 years in jail. I expect that perhaps when she makes her next court appearance next Thursday, we'll get an insight as to what her potential sentencing could be. But let's be clear, gang. Brittney Griner accepting a guilty plea or making a guilty plea does not, to me, mean that she's guilty. In this country where you allegedly have rights, bullshit, you do not have rights. Kalonji said, what is really the difference between the American judicial system and the judicial system in the Russian Federation? I would argue that they're very similar, more similar than more people would probably care to admit. But there's loads of people, our political prisoners, as Kalonji just referenced, and others who have been forced to accept shitty plea deals and admit to crimes that they did not do. And I find it really weird that Brittney Griner, because I don't believe this plea story. I'm sorry, she brought what, a half-empty hashish vape cartridge? She brought it to Russia with her and then tried to bring it back. Nah, bruh. Sorry, nope. I'm sorry. Nope, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But you know, we've been covering the story of Brittney Griner really since she since it was revealed that she was being held in Russia against her will. And one of the things that I said early on, because her people were not making a lot of noise. Her wife was not speaking out publicly. We'd never heard from Brittney's family, her parents, her siblings. And I always had the belief that the State Department was telling these people to be quiet. Shush, shush, we working on it. Shush, shush. Well, Brittney's black family is like, fuck that. We want Brittney home. And not only her black family, but her white friends too, who said we want Brittney home ASAP. And I want us to take a look at a clip from CBS This Morning. I believe this was from this week or possibly late last week, but I'm pretty sure this was this week. Gayle King spoke with Brittney's wife, Sherelle. And Sherelle is about to say the thing. She basically validated what my initial suspicion was about the silence or, everyone's sort of mum February, March, April about Brittney's status. But they're starting to become more vocal and they understand that there is a need to become more vocal if they want Brittney home. Let's take a listen to Brittney's wife, Sherelle.
Initially, I was told, just we're going to try and reserve, we're going to try and handle this behind scenes and, let's not raise her value and, stay quiet. And, I did that. And respectfully, we're over 140 days at this point. That does not work. And so I will not be quiet anymore. I will find that balance of, harm versus help in pushing our government to do everything that's possible, because being quiet, they are not moving. They are not doing anything. And so my wife is struggling and we have to help her.
I believe that Brittney is struggling. You could see the pictures of her coming in and out of court, this most recent appearance, and then the appearance that she made last week. This woman is beyond stressed. And I think stress is really putting it mildly. I have no idea how she's being treated. I don't know to what physical conditions she's being subjected to. I don't know to what psychological trauma she has been subjected to. And it's very clear that her family wants her home. The problem is Russia has some wants of its own, and it goes beyond Brittney simply admitting guilt to allegedly possessing these hashish cartridges. I've said it on here. I'm going to say it again. Russia wants Victor Bout. Period, point fucking blank. Okay, Victor Bout. AKA the merchant of death. I see the mainstream outlets. Oh, Victor Boot, merchant of death. Oh, he's too high level. You know, he's actually dangerous. Brittany's not dangerous. This is not an even swap. Russia don't give a fuck about this shit being an even fucking swap. Run them, they arms dealer. Period, point blank. And the thing is, I know the Biden administration is going to falter badly on this. And because of that, I am concerned that Brittany may not be coming home for a very, very long time. I'm sorry, the dog's made a strange sound. I think Bagheera's dreaming and she's howling, which sounded weird. But I want us to please, as we do with all of our political prisoners, and thank you so much to Kalonji for putting that whole scenario into perspective. Yes, there are people being held right here in the United States who are being held for years longer than you and I have been walking the planet. That is a horrifying thought to even consider. But we want to keep Brittany up there and make sure that we can do what we can do to help her to come home. So please just free Brittany Griner, free all political prisoners. Really quick, and I don't mean to make this quick, and maybe I should rescind that really quick, but this is a story that I absolutely needed to touch on. And shout out to Rich Eldios for tagging me on this. And this is not cool. And I hope you guys have heard the name Jada Johnson. And if you haven't, please let me be the first to tell you about Jada Johnson, this young woman in her early 20s. And I'm going to play the clip for you guys. And it's hard. It's hard. And it's hard for a number of reasons. It's hard because this young woman lost her life at the hands of police, but she was experiencing a severe mental health crisis. And the article in the Fayetteville Observer almost doesn't give you the complete picture as this package that we're about to play from CBS 17. And we're going to play the package and we're going to come back and talk about it. But let me give you guys a trigger warning. This is a trigger warning for police violence, police murder, for suicidal threats, and just for a heartbroken family who had to experience the murder of their loved one, who was again experiencing a mental health crisis at the hands of police. Let's take a look at CBS 17's package here.
New video shows the final moments before a 22-year-old woman was shot and killed by Fayetteville police. CBS 17's Justin Moore joins us live from Fayetteville with what this video reveals. Justin.
Yeah, a lot of unanswered questions around this case here, but this new video shows how fast this situation escalated. This is doorbell camera video, shows the moments Fayetteville police officers arrived at this home on Colgate Drive Friday night. Family called 911 after their 22-year-old granddaughter, Jada Johnson, thought her boyfriend was trying to break in and kill her. Johnson's granddad, Rick Iwanski, says he explained to officers Johnson was having another mental health crisis after being released from the hospital.
I told him about, what happened recently, and that this is not a criminal situation. Nobody's in trouble here. Nobody's being threatened.
Paramedics leave, and shortly after, two officers stepped outside to chat. Johnson then comes to the door.
Is this a private conversation?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That's when Iwanski says his granddaughter became paranoid about police.
They came in, and then she said, I want my daughter out here. And they said, well, no, and then she pulled the gun out of her pocket and pointed at her own head and said, bring her out or I will kill myself right here, right now.
Johnson's grandparents say she put the gun down at some point and then picked it back up. Shortly after, you hear calls for backup from the officer inside.
There's no struggle. They murdered my baby. They murdered her right here in front of me and her grandmother and her little baby girl.
Now, at least one officer is on desk duty as SBI investigates this case. Now, Iwanski says he wants to see two things happen in this situation. One, for that officer to be arrested, and the other thing is for reform within Fayetteville Police Department. Live in Fayetteville, Justin Moore, CBS 17 News.
I want to send our deepest condolences going out to the family of Jada Johnson, to her daughter, and to her other family members. 22 years old, taken by the state in her own house. That was her grandfather, Mr. Iwanski, and I am deep in confusion. If this man, her grandfather, and I'm trying to be gentle here because I'm understanding these people have experienced a trauma, but you cannot call the wolves to come help out the sheep. If the sheep is caught in the fence, I'm sorry, you think the wolf is going to come help free the sheep? Like, what is, I'm just trying to figure out what the expectation was. So let me fill you in a little bit on some of this background information. Leah Bogg, shout out to Leah. Thank you for watching. This was in Fayetteville, North Carolina, honey. And so the young woman, Jada Johnson, had been experiencing not only a mental health crisis, but she was leaving an abusive relationship with her boyfriend, her ex-boyfriend. And Jada was under the correct assumption that her ex had been driving by her grandparents' house, harassing her and threatening her. According to that article, I believe in the Fayetteville Observer, there is Ring video camera to support Jada's suspicion. So Jada was not being paranoid when she thought that her abusive ex was stalking her and harassing her. Her grandfather confirmed that there is Ring doorbell camera that verifies that the boyfriend and his cronies were doing exactly that. So she was already in fear for her life. She had been hospitalized at least once prior that day and had been released. So explain to me how a person who had been hospitalized for a mental health crisis was allowed to have access to a firearm. If the incident played out as the grandfather described, if she had the pistol on her after being released from the hospital, after being released back or going back to her grandparents' home for protection, and she allegedly pointed the gun at her own head, threatening to shoot herself, how is it that that gun was not taken from her when she put it down, as reported by the grandfather? Grandfather says she put it down, but she picked it back up. How come nobody took the gun from her at that point? Why did she have access to the gun at all? Okay, that is where I think red flag laws could come out to play in the affirmative, because we know, because Jada is Black, laws would be enforced against her, right? She's not a privileged white male buying AR-15s and ammo ready to shoot shit up. No, they would have actually activated the red flag law against Jada because of her race. So I think that actually would have been a good instance, because it would have saved her life. But as I've said here on this channel many times, and I can't really say it enough, and I don't know if we need to start seriously, like a for real fucking campaign, or put the shit on t-shirts. I don't know what the fuck to do. But Black people and Black adjacent people, people who are adjacent to Black people, stop calling the fucking cops on your loved ones when they are experiencing a mental health crisis. They will die. Okay. And I don't think I'm being hyperbolic here. I think there is enough documented instances in which Black people specifically have been gunned down and or murdered or found themselves dead in police custody when their family members have attempted to get quote unquote help for them. And that help involves 911, send the police. The police are not trained medical health professionals. They are not there to help your family member who is in crisis. In fact, quite the opposite. Your family member who is experiencing a mental health crisis is probably in more danger when the police have been called to the scene, because the police don't de-escalate shit. They ratchet up the situation. Okay. And you heard the recounting there that the Jada became paranoid when the police arrived. And I hate even that it was framed that way. She wasn't fucking paranoid. She knew that as a Black woman experiencing a mental health crisis, that her life was in more danger with the presence of police. Don't call her fucking paranoid because she knew what fucking time it was. And this doesn't have to be this way, y'all. Like, we have been programmed. We have been conditioned that 911 is the magic fucking numbers and someone's going to show up and take care of the problem. Now, listen, if that problem involves someone experiencing a heart attack or some sort of physical health crisis, be sure to ask for EMS only. Or fuck that, tell them to only send the fire department. If it comes to the point where you feel as though your only level of recourse is 911, please tell the 911 operator, do not send the cops. Send me a health professional. There was a police involved shooting, and God damn it, let me take that back. You see how reflexively that jargon just spews out of me. I have to unprogram myself out of the bullshit American journalistic training that I have been practicing. So let me say that again. Police murdered a person this morning in McLean, Virginia. Okay, McLean, Virginia is in the fancy part of Northern Virginia. That's the fancy part of Fairfax County. This is all in the news. They murdered a 26-year-old man. I'm going to assume this kid was white, even though his name has not been released yet. Fairfax County police came to his house 3 times last night. Okay. The first 2 times it was the cops plus a mental health counselor. The third time the police were called to the house, they came without the crisis counselor. And amazingly, the person ended up dead in their doorstep. Now, at their own home. Now, what's going to be interesting about this story is that where it took place, this took place in a very high income part of Fairfax County. High income. Okay. I looked up the address, not the house number, but they named the street address. I think it was Arbor Court or Arbor Lane in McLean, Virginia. Baby, the lowest price house I saw listed was $2.5 million. So guess what? The police done showed up and shot a rich white person. There will be consequences. There will be accountability for that. But there needs to be accountability for what happened to Jada Johnson. And I already know the activists and organizers down in DeVille, Courtney, down in Fayetteville. I'm certain that they are already on this. So this is a story that we are going to monitor because, as you guys know, and I've said it here, Black women are not immune. We are not immune from police violence. We're not immune from police brutality. And as is evidenced by the murder of Jada Johnson, we are not immune from police murder, especially when we are experiencing a mental health crisis. So justice for Jada Johnson. And I hate to I got to come up with some new phrases myself because I really can't stand the sort of emptiness of justice. I don't know what justice is. Justice is this woman still being alive to raise her daughter. Justice does not come in the form to me of a cop losing their job or even a settlement being reached with the family. Like the kind of justice that is true justice is unfortunately justice that will never be realized because this young woman is never coming home. So we're going to send love to Jada Johnson's family, and we're going to hope that the proper measures and steps are taken so that the cop who murdered her will be held accountable for her murder, not just fired. He needs to, as Kalonji Okafor would say, he needs to smell the inside of that jail cell. Okay. So yeah, by the way, subscribe to Say Your Mind podcast. Kalonji Okafor is a fucking beacon of light out here from the UK. And I cannot wait to hear Kalonji's podcast on Monday because Boris Johnson resigned. And I'm sure Kalonji is going to claim credit because she has been calling for Boris's downfall for quite some time. So much love going out to Kalonji Okafor, Say Your Mind podcast. Please subscribe. Guys, subscribe here too. And that's it. That's the show. So listen, disability around the fire support chat. We'll see y'all on Monday. I will be on the Remix Morning Show Tuesday morning on Black Power Media. No Burn It Down with Kim Brown next Tuesday, gang. No Burn It Down with Kim Brown next Tuesday. I'll remind you. But no Burn It Down with Kim Brown next Tuesday, the 12th. We are off. We will return Friday. Don't ask me what day that is. Whatever that Friday, the week of the 12th is, we will be returning back here for another live show. So you guys, please remember, COVID is out here jumping on people like shit, okay? BA.5 say, I'm gonna be the baddest bitch out here. These niggas not gonna even see me coming because there is no transmission mitigation mandates and none of that. You are out here on your own. So please behave yourself accordingly. Oh yeah, BA.5, don't give a fuck about your immunity, your vaccination status, none of that shit. So please, mask up indoors, wash your hands, watch yourself outdoors. Jesus Christ. And the monkeypox. Wash your hands. Stop dapping people up that you don't know and stop with all that bougie French kissing. Mwah, mwah. Cut that shit out. That's how the fuck COVID ran through Italy in 2020 because motherfuckers greeting each other. Oh, buongiorno. No. Stop kissing people that you don't know, goddammit, or you don't know where they been. Anyway, there's that. So on behalf of Molly and Tunde, we want to thank you guys so much for supporting the channel, supporting our efforts, and special thanks again to our guest tonight, Kalonji Changa from the FTP movement and Black Power Media. Thank you so much, Kalonji. We'll see you guys next Friday. All right. See y'all later. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Have a good weekend, y'all. Bye.